Hi Sagittarius, this is Heather, the medium on a mission, and I am bringing you your July Spirit Speaks videos for monthly forecasts for this month. And I'm super excited. This will be my first kind of series of videos that I'm doing here. My intent was to do them in January, and now we're at July, and here we go. So, oops. Sorry about that. Hopefully the message resonates for you. I will be using my own created deck, and so I created this 77 card deck when Spirit Speaks. These are basically from using kind of signs and symbols that Spirit brings me when I get messages from Spirit, and so using those in my own deck. And then I'm also using the Namaste blessing cards, and so at the end I'll give you a message from Spirit so you can kind of see what they have in store for the month of July. And I also will be doing here the mind, body, and spirit readings. And so the way that I'm going to do mine is for the month I will be tuning into a general theme, anything that's going on for you Sagittarius, and it'll cover off on the mind, body, and spirit. And so I'm recording this just a couple days before the full moon of Sagittarius that's coming in, so it'll be interesting to see kind of the connections and what Spirit has in store for you for this reading. So I'm super excited. So with that being said, we will go ahead and jump in, and we may get some loved ones from the other side. Never quite know what's going to happen with these type of readings, so we'll just kind of see. We'll go and see what we get. So I'm going to go ahead and shuffle up the cards. And as I'm doing this, I am aware of a male presence that's coming in, and I feel like there's a younger energy to him as well. And I feel like this, I'm not sure if this would be, I'm not going to, for these general readings, I'm not going to get very specific in terms of the readings, because I know that Spirit will be speaking to a lot of people within this, and so I want to honor that, and so I'm not going to kind of ask that of Spirit, because I do know that these are the highest and greatest good of all involved, and whatever that looks like is what will be coming forward. So I actually do, though, come forward with a little bit of a sense of, there we go, that's interesting. So I do come forward with a little sense of loss and regret associated to this male energy that's coming forward. And actually, Pisces got this card in the exact same spot. It's fascinating. So out of this 77 card deck, there's only 3 cards that do not have any signs on them in terms of naming. And I'm going to move this up just a little bit so you can see. There's no wording on this card, and so Pisces got this exact one in the same spot. That's interesting. That's the mind card, and so I'll kind of explain to you what the meanings are after I pull the cards here. I'm just going to kind of pull them really quickly here. Okay. And so also, as I'm tuning in, I'm getting some interesting information in terms of, I feel like there's some loss and regret in terms of the way that this individual lived their life, that they maybe didn't always get to kind of go down the path that they want. I feel like they lived a little bit of a fear-based life. I feel like and it may have not been fear of doing things per se, because I feel like this person did a lot, but I also just feel like there was a feeling of maybe a fear of what people thought and the judgments that's associated to that. So, yeah, and as I was doing this here, this card fell, and so I'm going to honor it, is trauma. And so, there we go. Okay. So as I'm just sort of tuning into the energy, I feel like I just get a sense of there's a fear energy, and the feeling of being held back by not wanting to kind of do things that you should. Like, I feel like there's just a sense of wanting to move forward, but the inability to do so. And so this coming in the mind space for me means a lot, because this is actually the symbol. The reason why I created this card is because for me personally, I have a little bit, I mean, I think we all do to some extent, and that's where we kind of hold ourselves back, but this fear of putting ourselves out there. And so whether it be public speaking, whether it be doing YouTube videos, whether it be, there's a light that you have that's shining within you, but it's a fear of exposing yourself or putting yourself in a vulnerable position, and just sort of taking that plunge in which to do that. And so the message that I get, and it's coming strong with this male energy that's coming forward, is the feeling of what do you have to be afraid of? This is all within your mind space, right? What do you have to be afraid of? Don't be afraid. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You can't die. If anything, if anything, we're here to live our lives fearlessly. A lot of times the fear that we have in this life, whether it be the fear of judgment, the fear of, fear of judgment is the biggest one, but the fear of maybe dying, literally dying, those are all things that are within the mind space, and sort of letting go of that fear and just sort of taking the plunge in whatever this looks like. I feel like I'm holding my energy back to not advance myself in a certain way. So, Sagittarius with you, that the full moon is coming up here, and this is really in your space. And so I'm a Sagittarius moon as well, and so I connect with this. I mean, I'm doing these videos around this time, and this is really sort of, it's it's putting, it's about putting yourself out there in a way and just sort of doing it. Just do it. Just jump. What do you have to lose around this? What will really happen there? So, and so kind of over to the next message here that I get about around body, and this is kind of the physical body, the physical space, what's going to happen. So I connect with winter, and so, the winter card came up here, and so as I'm connecting with winter, I just feel like there's going to be something coming up that's coming forward in the winter time that is, I feel like this is a process. I'm not looking at it like, ta-da, we're here, we've gone past this. When you see this image, this sort of opens the door to allow the mind to go in this direction, and to really kind of allow yourself to release whatever fears, whatever things that you hold within you. And I feel like the winter time is significant for you in this physical life. There's something around the winter time. And as I'm kind of saying this, I'm drawn over now to the spirit cards of trauma. And so I feel like whatever this fear is, whether it be the fear of putting yourself out there, the fear of falling in love again, any of those things, I feel there was some trauma that was suffered as a result of that, and that's where the fear is coming into the space. And I feel like on a spiritual level, this trauma is what needs to be healed for you. So this could be something to where, being able to go to a medium, or being able to get some soul regression. As a medium, I've done a lot of readings, and a lot of spirit family members on the other side will bring through traumatic events, and I will tell you, it is shocking how easy we can push down traumatic events. There's something in the soul level that we're holding on to. It could be physical abuse, it could be emotional abuse, it could be neglect, abandonment, any of those things. And those are the things that we sort of hold on to on a spiritual level, and it creates these fear-based thinking. The fear of not being able to put ourselves out there, to do things that this woe is me, no matter what you have in this life, the feeling of it not being enough. And that's sort of the fear of, so Spirit is really asking you at this time to let go or acknowledge. I mean, one of the things is acknowledging the trauma that's within. A lot of times people, no, I think I'm good, I think, and all of a sudden it comes up at the most inopportune times. There's a trigger, there's a pulse, somebody says something, and all of a sudden the walls collapse and the trauma is exposed. And so the message that I have here for you is really to acknowledge on a spiritual level, what is that trauma that you're holding within you, there's a fear of sort of letting go, that maybe it's a story you've told yourself. Maybe you've been telling yourself something that, I can't do X, Y, Z because of A. What is that? There's something that you've sort of kept within your spirit to say, you know what, this trauma is something that I hold. Maybe it's a protection shell. Maybe by you telling yourself that, you know what, I'm not worthy of being loved. I'm not worthy of having success in my life. I'm not worthy of this. Then therefore it creates this fear-based thinking. But Spirit this month is asking you to acknowledge that, and it's kind of the dark side, right? The shadow aspect. We can't have the light without the dark, and these are the things that propel you into this sort of greatness, that you become a space of no fear, because you've experienced something in your life that was traumatic for you. There was a loss that occurred, and you have to honor that on a spiritual level. But it's through the honoring of this traumatic event that you experience the breakthrough. And so I think this is really kind of the theme that I'm seeing here, and the importance around this. And I have to tell you, this individual that's stepping forward, this male energy, I do feel like he's coming through to represent the feeling of, he didn't necessarily experience that in this life. I feel like he sort of kept on to his trauma, whatever that was. Maybe you weren't aware of it, he didn't expose it to you, but there's something where I felt like when you look at someone, you know that they're hurting in their own way, and they maybe not share that experience with you. And so he's making me feel like he had that in this life, and it saw him through to the end. And unfortunately, I don't feel like he necessarily honored that to the extent that he should, but he's acknowledging on the other side he has that perspective here of sort of letting go of the fear of the mind space and sort of acknowledging that that was within him so that he can heal it. And so that's really what I'm seeing here. And it's interesting too, I feel like there's a connection too with the winter, and I'm drawn to the kind of the frost and whatnot, and I feel like there's a little bit of that. In the winter, everything sort of goes cold, right? We all kind of go inward. We stay inside. It gets cold out. We go, and hiding and hibernation. And I feel like that's really kind of the message here. That's this may have a connection to the winter months, but I also just feel like this feeling of kind of going inward with this and hibernating with what's happening here, and taking that space and time for yourself to kind of work through this trauma of whatever that is. It could be anything. A loss could be as simple as an expectation of someone behaving a certain way, a mother, a father, a brother, a spouse, a friend, behaving in a certain way, and the expectation wasn't met, and so therefore it creates a trauma in your life. It could be any number of those things. And so the message I see here is really sort of kind of going inward with this information and working through this so that you can really release the space of mind fear that you've created within your life so that you can really live your best life. If we all sort of came in and acknowledged whatever these things that we hold on to and we let go of them, because again, what's the worst that can happen, right? Are you protecting this little girl or boy that's within you that's holding on to this trauma? Are you protecting this pattern, this sort of lesson in life that keeps perpetuating itself, or are you ready to sort of let that go and just, what, it's not serving me anymore, I'm out. I'm thawing out from the winter of my life, and I'm moving forward in a different direction. And so that's really what I'm seeing there. So I'm going to go ahead and pull you a Namaste card for a general blessing for the month of July and see what Spirit has to say in regards to that. So let me just pop this in and see. Okay, perfect. Okay, there we go. So the blessing of patience. So yeah, not surprised, especially when it's correlating to trauma here. So a blessing comes disguised as a setback or a delay. This card is a confirmation that you are on the right path. With patience and perseverance, you will reach your goal. All is accomplished in perfect time. So that just really kind of resonates with everything that I just brought forward here. The acknowledgement of sort of the blessing coming from a setback or delay or an expectation or any of these things, but it's the ability to sort of release those things, and you have the breakthroughs. A lot of people look at any sort of trauma events as a very negative, and it kind of creates a shadow within the self, and this is the dark part of me I don't want people to see, but that's where we actually can shine. Again, you cannot have the light without the dark. You have to honor that aspect of yourself, and those are the things that catapult you into the fearless mode and really sort of releasing for your best life to come forward. A lot of people, I mean, if you look at in history, a lot of success has come as a result of a bad event occurring right in front of it. I know in my own personal life I can speak to many instances, and I know you can as well. And so whatever this event, this sort of trauma that you're going through, just know that it's preparing you to catapult you into the next level of your life and sort of step in and from out of the winter that you've sort of exposed yourself to bring forth this new life. So and what better timing, right? The full moon in Sagittarius, it's this aha, this accumulation, things are happening. It's the awareness and awakening of what's going to occur. So I hope that resonates for you, Sagittarius. This one, it was very interesting. I really feel strong about the connection here in terms of, as well as the man that's coming forward. I feel like there's a representation of, this is the life that I lived, and I'm stepping forward for those that are listening to kind of have a different experience and make the most of the life that you have here, And you know, it's all doable. All you have to do is live and die. That's it. Everything else is optional. And so, but it's important that you do live through that process. And so, so I hope this was helpful. I will be doing them again next month, and let me know any comments, feedback, if it resonated for you, if you may connect with that individual that came forward. And I wish you all the blessings and abundance for the month of July. Namaste.